Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating political paradox. So, picture this. You've got a British governor whose official job is to keep the peace, but somehow he ends up massively expanding the empire. How does that even happen? Let's get into it.
And that right there is the central puzzle we're digging into today. It's all about Lord William Bentinck's time as Governor General of India. You've got this official policy of hands off, right? But then you look at the map and it's just pure expansion. So what gives?
All right, so to really understand this, we've got to start with the man himself, Lord Bentinck, and the official policy he was supposed to be following in India.
Okay, so here's the deal. Officially, Bentinck's policy was all about non-intervention, no aggression. He wasn't supposed to be a conqueror. But, and this is a big but, he found a very clever justification. He started taking over states, not through war, but by claiming he was fixing misgovernment. It was basically empire building dressed up as, well, administrative housekeeping.
So you might be asking, how did this actually play out on the ground? Well, our first big example is the Kingdom of Mysore.
The whole situation in Mysore really centered on its ruler, Krishna Raja III. Now, he actually had a pretty good start to his reign, but over time, the British started labeling his leadership as incompetent. And for Bentinck, that label was the only excuse he needed.
And that moment? It arrived in 1831. Citing this so-called misgovernment, Bentinck didn't declare war. He just kind of walked in and took over. The entire state administration was seized, the Raja was essentially retired on a pension, and just like that, one of the most powerful states in southern India was under direct British control.
Wow.
And make no mistake, this wasn't some short-term fix. The British were in it for the long haul. They took control in 31, put their own guy in charge a few years later, and local rule wasn't even restored until 1881. That's 50 years. Bentinck was long gone by then.
Okay, so if the whole justification for this takeover was to improve things, who'd they bring in to do the job?
That would be Sir Mark Cuban. And he wasn't a military guy. He was an administrator. For almost 30 years, he was the guy in charge, the de facto ruler of Mysore. His one big mission? To remake the state into a model of British efficiency and order.
And Cuban really went for it. He didn't just maintain the status quo. He did a complete overhaul. He streamlined the entire administration, made the whole process of collecting taxes way simpler, and kicked off some massive infrastructure projects. Oh, and in a move that was hugely symbolic, he moved the capital from Mysore to Bangalore. That one decision pretty much shaped the future of Bangalore as we know it.
You know, his legacy is literally still there today. If you've ever been to Bangalore, you've probably heard of Cuban Park. It's a living piece of history, a direct line from this 19th century colonial administrator all the way to a modern Indian tech hub.
But here's the thing. Mysore wasn't a unique case. This whole intervention for improvement thing, it quickly became a kind of playbook that the British started using in other states in the region.
Just look at the neighboring state of Coorg. The story is almost exactly the same. The local Raja's rule gets labeled chaotic, so in 1834, Bentinck steps in and annexes the state. And who do you think he puts in charge as commissioner? Yep, the same guy, Sir Mark Cuban. He just started applying the same administrative improvement principles all over again.
And it wasn't just independent kingdoms getting this treatment. Even states that were already supposed to be under British protection, places like Cachar and Jaintia, they got absorbed too. The reason was always the same. Hey, this isn't a conquest. We're just upgrading the administration.
So where does all this leave us? What are we supposed to make of a legacy that's built on such a massive contradiction?
Bentinck's time in India was, honestly, a masterclass in political spin. He's out there publicly talking about peace while his administration is overseeing a huge land grab. He basically turned the idea of misgovernment into a weapon to justify takeovers. And in doing that, he set this incredibly powerful precedent. You could sell an outright annexation not as an act of aggression, but as a simple, boring administrative reform.
And that really leaves us with this final thought. When you frame intervention as improvement, what does the word expansion even mean anymore? It forces you to look right past the official labels and really see what's happening on the ground. And, it makes you think a lot more critically about the clever, subtle ways empires have always found to grow.